steering racks. In front of me is a couple of different rack and pinion sets from Escorts and EXPs. Uh, as far as I know, these did not change at all between 1981 and 1990. But there are two versions, as you can see here. Below here is a manual rack, and above it is a power steering rack. In fact, both of these are just power steering racks. I grabbed this middle one because it has both hangers, which is important later. And then, but the top one has both of its arms on. Now, there are a few important differences between these two. Now, as far as usage goes, if you had a car, two cars, and the one had a manual and one had a power steering, you wouldn't notice much difference at all. The only difference is the manual one is marginally harder to turn, left to right when it's stationary. Whereas the power steering one, it turns as easy as when it's parked as when it's moving, but the difference really isn't much, and it's really not worth it. I mean, with the manual rack, I can turn the steering wheel with my pinky as long as I'm not stopped. If I'm creeping like this, yeah, I can do this all day long, not a single issue. The power, but when you're stationary, that's when it starts getting a little bit of work. I can do it with my pointer finger. But the power steering rack, no matter what you do, where you go, you can turn the sucker with your pinky. That's the novelty of having a super light car, is you don't need power steering. It's not even a desire of mine. I finally drove an Escort, and it's a wagon, an Escort wagon with power steering. Like I said, when you're rolling, it feels absolutely no different. Or I should say that the effort you have to put in is no different when you're stationary. It's only a little easier. That's just how great the manual ones are. The feel is interesting. Now, these do feel like power steering. If you've ever been in an 80s Chevy, that's what these feel like. Again, not the effort that you input, but the way it feels when you're going down the road and you feel bumps and stuff. The steering wheel feels really light. That's just how these are. The manual ones are pretty good. Not as good, but pretty good. If you'd only know the difference if you hopped in one and then hopped in the other right away. It's really not much of a difference. But as far as the physical differences between these, because say you maybe want to convert from one to the other, because the big benefit of the manual one is this is all there is to it. And as a result, this weighs nothing. Now these powered ones, these weigh a lot more, because obviously you have valving in there. The casing is a little larger, but it is aluminum. These are steel. But then you also have the power steering system. So you'll have a pump and a whole bunch of hoses. So there is a difference in weight between the two. The power steering will add about 15, 20, maybe 25 pounds to the equation over the manual rack. I'm going to say about 15 pounds of that is just from all the hoses and the pump and reservoir. This housing itself doesn't weigh much more, but it certainly is more. But when your car is 22 to 2,400 pounds, it's negligible. But when you're stripping down your car for nothing, that 25, 30 pounds might make a difference to you. But keeping going with the differences, physical differences, the lengths of these guys are the same. That's what we expect. Like I said, the housing is bigger. The shaft placement is the same, but you'll notice that the shaft is different. You see this one here? It's a bigger diameter D shape. well, this one's a smaller diameter D shape. This one's got a bolt notch there, and has this one. Now I haven't compared the ends of the steering column or the hub. I believe at the end of the steering column there's a removable hub that slides on these two, but I might be mistaken. I've been taking apart a lot of 90s front wheel drive Fords lately, and they're all similar to these, so it makes my memory a wee bit hazy in that regards. But we'll carry on. Now there is a difference in boots between these. The manual ones will all have smaller boots. I believe the left side is the same as the right, but on the powered ones, I think the right one is, that would be the left one. Left one is smaller than the right, I think. I might be mistaken. But, you know, it's easy to test it because this is a powered boot. That would be a stretch there. And a stretch there, but this could be from a different car for all I know. I don't have too many powered steering cars. It's kind of better that way. But anyhow, when we line these up, these mounts line up in the same place. They have the same bolt hole pattern, the same location. And over here, it's about the same location. I don't have the other bracket for it, but it is the same as the small one here. So if I can fight the small one off, which I can't, it would be the same as the other side. This bracket here, see that both of these are the same. However, down here, this bracket is a whole lot bigger and is mounted taller. Now I do have a manual rack mounted here in my car. You can see the bolts aren't as far apart. Both of these are the same, both mounts are the same on the manual rack. But on the powered one, space is a little bigger there, so if you're converting from one to the other, you just have to drill another set of holes and move your bolt lockers elsewhere. Again, that's another thing to keep in mind is on the powered ones, this passenger side bushing mount, whatever you'd like to call it, is different than the driver's side one. This guy is bigger. Notice it has that hole there. That's for one of the air equalizer line. This guy, if you didn't know, it plugs into the boot down here. Way down here, it plugs into this boot, and it keeps the air equally pressured. These manual ones don't need to do that because inside the shaft, you can see here there's a lot of air room here. So the air is the same all across here. It's not blocked off or sealed off, anything like that. It's all one cavity. So as this moves back and forth, absolutely nothing happens as in regards to air change and vacuum. Sorry. Now, if we get to the ends, there is another big difference. The manual racks have this unique end on. These do unthread. I can't remember how. It's been a while, but they do unthread. When I did my 82, I had to use a pipe wrench, and that guy came out just fine. While all these power steering ones, they have a slightly larger unit on the end here, and they have this normal hex pattern, or semi-normal hex pattern that threads on. This threads on too. I don't know if they interchange, but I do know that the manual one has a smaller end. But again, put them side by side, same length and all. So that's kind of everything. Sometime soon I will have a video or a write-up on how the two pinion shafts compare, and what you need to go from one to the other. Because many people like myself like converting from power to manual. Other people, for whatever reason, like converting from manual to power. I prefer the manual. Like I said, the difference in feel is, or again, sorry, the difference in steering input is marginal between them. Steering effort, the auto one is better, but if you're racing, you want the manual one. You'll feel almost every bump in the road in your steering wheel, and it's not atrocious. It's not like little bumps or it's just, it moves as you move. It feels very direct. It's a very confident feeling. These guys not so much. Feels good, but it's a little dreamy. I'll say. Again, anyone who's had an '80s Chevy, those power steering units are overpowered for most of the vehicles they're put in. It's kind of how that feels. But anyhow, I'm dragging on. But that's really all you need to know. If something comes up, I'll let you know.